A politician in Memphis, Tennessee wants HOAs to ban home sales to landlords. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's coming out of Memphis, Tennessee. Now, obviously, I don't always cover stuff that's happening in Tennessee because Tennessee is known to be a much more landlord-friendly, state where they have more property rights, where there's a lot less regulation and laws. But one thing I can say is that in the larger cities of Tennessee, there are more progressive laws there. There's much less landlord-friendly feeling in the area, and there's these politicians there who just as bad as on the coasts, and they want to take away landlords' rights. Now fortunately so far that hasn't happened, but if you keep looking at the way things are going, well, things are changing quickly, and especially now that there's this housing shortage going on, it's very difficult for people to be able to buy homes. So they're looking for a scapegoat, okay? And you know what that scapegoat is. It's landlords and real estate investors. They're saying that landlords are buying up too many houses, and that's preventing people who are local from being able to buy their first home or whatever, right? But I can tell you for a fact that, hey, I've actually been watching the Memphis market for quite a while, and there have been large real estate investment companies there who are selling turnkey rentals, and there's a lot of people who do out-of-state rentals in the city of Memphis because the properties there were so cheap. I mean, even now I think property values there are relatively low, yet rents are relatively high compared to that property value. So the return on investment for a lot of landlords and a lot of real estate investors was huge, okay? So nobody had any complaints when landlords were buying up thousands upon thousands of houses after the last Great Recession, right? But now all of a sudden it's a problem. Okay, and it's annoying. It gets really annoying when I read this stuff. They say, oh, we're going to go after these corporate landlords, but then they pass these laws, and hey, they hurt everyone. They hurt the local small mom and pop landlords. They hurt the corporate landlords. They hurt property owners, homeowners who just want to sell their property to the highest bidder. That's why I'm against this sort of stuff. So this assessor in Shelby County, Tennessee, which is where Memphis is at, wants HOAs to ban home sales to landlords. Now, can you believe that? That's absolutely ridiculous. Why would the county assessor be mad at property owners who are coming in and fixing these properties up and putting them on the market for the people who need to rent houses? Okay? It's just a bunch of garbage, just another person talking out of the side of their mouth, don't know what they're talking about. And I hope to God that the HOAs don't actually listen to this person, because that, it's wrong. It hurts everyone involved, okay? So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. What do you think of, politicians or HOAs or anybody who thinks that sales of private property should be, you should ban it or slow it down when it comes to real estate investors buying, regardless of the size of the investor. Now, I know a lot of people, they're not, they don't support these big corporate landlords who are buying single family homes or whatever, right? But I just want to ask, because people need to keep in mind that when they pass these laws, they don't look and say, hey, well, this person only owns one or two properties. No, they say, hey, we're not going to allow anybody to be able to buy houses up there, right? So the people who do only own one property, they wouldn't be able to rent their house either. If you're a small landlord and you have a property in an HOA that is banned, banned rentals, then all of a sudden you can't rent your house. That's how bad this kind of thing could be. And that's why I'm against it, okay? We should be fighting for more property rights. We should be making it easier for people to be able to make money, for be able to run small, rental property businesses. It's a great way to build wealth. You're taking wealth away from people when you are banning stuff and putting more government regulations in place. Oh, man. So, this article, and like I said, it's coming out of Memphis, Tennessee. It's coming from localmemphis.com, and it says, home sellers Shelby County Assessor united to slow down outside investors buying and renting local homes. Yeah, let's see what this article says. Memphis, Tennessee. Local home sellers and the Shelby County Assessor are banding together to slow outside investors that are making home ownership increasingly difficult for Mid-South families. On top of that, Zillow reports year-to-year Memphis home values up 23%. Shelby County Susie Lynch wants to change this trend on her terms. People are struggling and they are trying to plan a future and they don't know what it's going to be, Lynch said. When she puts her Arlington home on the market soon, there's one condition. It must go to a local family and not an outside investor. People that are going to enjoy it and raise their kids in it and be proud to own it, Lynch added. And you know what? I have no problem with that, okay? She's a private property owner. She's selling her house. She has the right to sell it to whoever she chooses, okay? If she doesn't want to sell it to a real estate investor, fine. My issue isn't with people like her, okay? My issue has always been with overreaching government, okay? Government telling you that, hey, you can't do what you want with your property. Her personal concern about outside investors swooping in and buying up area properties is seconded by Shelby County Assessor Melvin Burgess. It lessens the inventory. So what does that do for first-time home buyers? Or what does that do for the American dream, Burgess said. The American dream was everyone wanted to buy their own home, and it's going to be difficult. Burgess said investors purchased more than 7,000 single-family homes in the past 2 years. In that surge, Burgess said investors often outbid local families with all-cash offers and rented out those homes at a higher rate. So, yeah, he's right. Investors are always going to be buying properties. They're going to be buying a lot of properties in every city, every metro area, even in rural communities. That's what investors do, okay? So rental properties are needed, especially in a place like Memphis. Memphis has a large low-income population of renters, people who either don't want to buy a house, can't buy a house because of their credit or financial situation, and they want to rent, okay? So there's nothing wrong with investors coming in there and then offering rental properties up for rent. But you, as the county assessor, your job is not to dictate who should and who should not be able to buy or sell properties, right? Or who should, be eligible to rent their properties. Your job is to tell people the property values. That's it. Okay, that's what the county assessor is for. They say the taxable value, actually, not even the actual property value. I mean, but that's a different story. But, for now, we'll just say your job is just to get the property values, so that they can charge taxes on it. So my gripe with you is, does it matter who owns the property as long as the taxes are being paid? Okay, to me, it doesn't. And the good thing about having a landlord there is you have somebody who actually will help maintain the property and keep it up, rather than there being just a whole ton of vacant properties laying around, or properties that have been just dilapidated and kept in horrible shape. You have a landlord who should be responsible to keep that property up. And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? So I don't agree with this assessor believing that, hey, there's somehow it's going to be a better community overall if we ban landlords from being able to buy or sell properties, okay? The market is steadily going up when it comes to housing, and people are taking advantage of it, Burgess added. Burgess said diluting local home ownership opportunities also causes ripple effects elsewhere in communities. All of a sudden, it's overwhelmed with rental properties where people aren't keeping up with their homes. Your value will go down, and it causes your neighborhood to go down, Burgess said. Yeah, this is a thing that I hear a lot of, right? Saying that, hey, they're taking away the opportunities for these people to buy their homes, right? But what they don't mention is that the people who are renting for a reason, okay? The grand majority of them, and I'm not all of them. Obviously, some of them do want to buy a home and are capable of buying a home, but the grand majority of them are not. Okay, the grand majority of them like renting. Maybe they want the flexibility of being able to move from location to location. Maybe they just don't want to handle all the maintenance by themselves. Maybe they don't have the large down payment required. Even with a 3.5% down payment option from FHA, a lot of people don't have $5,000 or whatever they need in order to buy a house. So they just say, hey, it's easier for me to just have, this landlord do all the maintenance for me. That way, in a year or two, if I want to move, I can move, and I don't have to sell the house. I don't have to worry about the burden of all the maintenance, and it's just easier. So a lot of people, that's what they do. Okay, especially in lower income communities. So don't act like, hey, all of those people, they were taking these opportunities away. The other issue is that a lot of the houses where these landlords are buying, these properties that landlords are buying, they were already rentals. Okay? If I, as a landlord, decide to sell my portfolio of homes to another landlord, that counts as a sale in their books, but it was already a rental. It's not like more rentals were added. It's not like I took private principal residences off of the market to turn them into rentals. No, it's just rentals transferring from one landlord to another. And that is a lot of these cases that they're not talking about here in this article. That's why Burgess is pursuing ways for homeowner associations to fight back, change their charter, and limit investor home sales or ban them altogether. As for Lynch, she said it's up to other local home sellers to do their part and slow the trend. We need to rein it in and say to these investors, yes, you need to make money, but we need to look at the homeowners and say, yes, you need to own your home at a fair price and be able to plan financially for that home. And right now it's impossible, Lynch said. Well, you know what? Like I said, I got no problems with this lady who's trying to sell her house if she wants to sell it to somebody specific, right? But imagine if she and this property assessor, they get together, right? And they say, hey, now we have banned who can and can't buy a person's property. So now you're an individual homeowner, right? And you just want a quick sale of a property that's in bad shape, and a real estate investor comes in there, wants to pay you all cash, close in 2 weeks. You don't have to clean anything up, and you can just get rid of this property that you don't want anymore. But unfortunately, because of this ridiculous law that this real estate assessor passed, the HOA now has banned sales to investors. So you can't sell that property to an investor. And what are you going to do at that point? If you can't sell it to an investor, you have to sell to an individual homeowner. But the property's in such bad shape, it can't be financed. The only people who want to buy it are investors. I mean, they don't talk about this sort of stuff in this article. So, yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. You should have the right to sell your property to whoever you want. You should have the right to rent, the property if you want to. Okay, if you want to be a landlord, you should be able to do that. And you should have the right to buy the property, whichever property you want, as long as you come to an agreement with the seller. So yeah, I'm completely opposed to this stuff, and it surprises me that it's coming out of Tennessee. But like I said, these new progressive laws, etc., the stuff starts coming out of the woodwork whenever the economy sees a slight change. Okay, this housing shortage thing, next thing you know, we're reading about all sorts of new anti-landlord, anti-real estate investing laws, rent control and eviction protections, ridiculous stuff. And I just hope that this isn't a long-term trend.